Welcome to Thursday night on the PPR channel. It is time for Immortal Shadows. I am your host, the paranormal pastor, Ezekiel Kincaid, and Dustin, the main man, is here hanging out with me as well. And Bethany was here and she disappeared. I don't know where she went. Did you see her drop off, Dustin?
Yeah, she got dropped off.
Okay, maybe she'll come back up.
Hello, Susanna. Thank you so much, proud single mom, for being here.
Thank you for coming to hang out with us on this lovely Thursday night. Glad that you are doing well. So we are continuing our study on the book of Revelation tonight on Thursday nights. Hey, Triple X lady, welcome to the chat.
Good to see you.
There he is. That goatee is getting long, man.
Oh, it is. Oh, Sister Tanya, yobaby Bondi's already saying, wait until I get my hands on that. She's going to trim it up and get it looking so it's not scraggly.
You need to let it grow. You need to let it grow as long as my hair.
Oh, I am. I'm going to let it get real long down to my belly button.
Like Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah.
Put some braids in it. Some beads on it.
Of course we missed you, PW.
Hey, PW.
We missed you and Triple X, and we got Susanna in here.
Everybody's starting to slowly trickle in.
Yeah. Be sure to stick around because Zeke has something dealing with his books, let's say. His writings.
Yep. There is the blonde.
Hello.
Hey, Bethany, I heard some new dad jokes.
Can't you be nice to me? I had a really bad day yesterday. Can we be nice?
I am always nice. This is
No,
nice.
you're not.
Yes, I am. Who checks on you all the time?
True.
Yes.
Oh,
Bethany,
goodness.
PW called you Bethany Kincaid.
Oh, my lovely PW. She always makes me smile.
And Triple X lady told you hello, Bethany.
Oh, hello. I think I can see the hello, Triple X lady. Yeah, some destinations I won't see the comments. So,
hey, Bethany, guess what?
What?
I'm afraid for the calendar. You know why?
Why?
Its days are numbered.
Oh, God. Stop. Gosh, this is right up there with those stupid wedding joke he made right before we came on.
Oh, I got her good, Dustin. I trolled her. I texted her and I was like, hey, Bethany, did I tell you about the wedding I went to this past week? She was like, no. I said it was really emotional. Even the cake was in tears.
And yeah, and Zeke said he's going to take up golfing and he's going to keep extra socks in his golf bag. Do you know why he wants to take extra socks with him?
Why?
In case he gets a hole in one.
I hate you both. God, they're awful. Stop. Wedding jokes.
Hey, Dustin.
Stop, please.
What kind of flowers grow on your face?
Oh God, what?
Tulips.
Tulips, yeah. Oh, wow.
I just got to say, it's funnier to read a bathroom wall, okay? Like,
okay. Here's the last one for me for a while, and so Zeke can get on unless he has one. But what do a tick and the Eiffel Tower both have in common? They're both parasites.
these are the jokes that only like men find funny of a certain age and small children. Everyone else is just like, these are awful.
Yeah, PW said at least we're laughing at our own jokes. We entertain ourselves.
Well, PW, if they didn't, nobody else would.
We are easily amused.
Again, I'm having Dustin. Thanks to you, I'm having Art the Clown dreams.
Keep it
Haven't
up,
you
Dustin.
all missed the duo? See how much fun it is when Zeke and I are both together up here, and now all we need is Sissy, Tanya, and Vickie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, let them handle some of the god awful dad jokes. I mean, all that's missing is you two asking to pull each other's fingers.
I mean, we would if we were in person together.
That's a horrifying thought.
We'll do it next time. We shall.
Okay, just for that one.
God.
If April showers bring Mayflowers, what do Mayflowers bring?
What?
Pilgrims.
Oh, God! Stop!
Oh man.
Okay. I had those set aside especially just for you, just to help Zeke out.
Yeah.
The
And
dad shit. What?
I'm glad that I've encouraged Dustin in this.
You are encouraging every man with those stupid jokes who thinks it's hilariously funny to want to tell them and share.
Yeah, it is hilariously funny. PW, since you mentioned that, we'll go ahead and segue into that. The latest Southern Discomfort issue, for those of you who are new, I do a monthly series for Godless called Southern Discomfort as well. And February's is Phantom War. And this one is a really unique story. It is a blend of horror and fantasy and an epic, kind of like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. And it's got creatures, monsters, demons, dragons, psychic ability. It's very raw and emotional. It's got a love story. It is a metaphor for overcoming addiction. I wrote this particular piece while I was in rehab. Those of you who watch so regularly know my testimony about overcoming an alcohol addiction. And this was the first story that I was able to write about that, and actually did it on a pen and paper while I was in rehab. So this one has a lot in it. It's got a lot of depth, but also has a lot of fighting, a lot of blood, a lot of guts. Love story. This is like your total package story right here. Now, I'll mention this again at the end of the show, but what I am doing for everybody who goes and purchases a copy of Phantom War, and if you screenshot it and you email me at ezekielkincaid@gmail.com, I will send you all 3 copies, ebook copies of. I'll send you The Dawning, The Gathering, and The Morning. All of my Dreadful Death series. I will send you the ebook copies of those. And the reason I'm doing a giveaway for this is because I want people to read this story, Phantom War. I believe it is that good. And because I want people to read my Dreadful Death series as well, because I have a new book dropping in March that takes place in the same universe. The cover is going to be released February 23rd, so I won't be able to show it until then. But for those of you who like found footage type horror, you're going to love this story, because it's about these 12-year-old kids that find VHS tapes in this creepy old man's trash can. and they begin to watch these sort of cursed tapes, and it leads them to investigate the urban legends around their town, which links back to the Tetramet cult. And the Tetramet is the main entity in the Dreadful Death that's connected with Theo. So this story connects with the Dreadful Death series, but you don't have to have read the Dreadful Death series to understand what's going on. I intentionally do every story and book in the universe like that, so somebody can just kind of pick up wherever and still understand what's going on. So just wanted to announce that. So let's see, who did I miss in the chat? We got Mayhem.
Kenneth.
Welcome.
Crossover.
Glad that y'all are coming to hang out with us.
Yes.
So those links are up at the top of the chat. If you want to read more about the Dreadful Death, it's in there, and the link for Phantom War is in there as well. And Phantom War is only 50 cents, y'all. Only 50 cents. So for 50 cents, you get 4 books, because Phantom War is pretty long. Hey, Dennis. Welcome.
Yeah, you can ask for a better deal than that, man. 50 cents and you get a total of 4 books.
Yep. So all you need to do is, once you buy it off Godless, is just screenshot it and email me. It's my name. It's up there on the screen with just @gmail.com behind it. But before we get into the teaching part tonight, Emma is here. And she is going to come sing some songs. I know it's been a little while since she's been singing.
Ill.
Yeah, she was sick last week. She had a pretty bad sinus infection.
No, that was fun.
Hey, all right. Are y'all ready to hear Emma sing?
Woohoo!
Dustin's ready. Bethany, you ready?
Oh.
Earth to Blondie.
Oh, I have a classic for y'all.
Bethany's probably still trying to figure out those dad jokes. We probably confused her, Dustin.
It's more tonight.
I don't know. Bethany's off in outer space somewhere. So, all right. I'm going to let Emma come up here and start singing a few songs for y'all.
Yay, Emma.
Yay. All right, this first one, I'm going to do Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. It's grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Okay, and then I'm doing Chain Breaker for my other one. If you believe it, if you receive it, oh, if you can't feel it, somebody testify. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can't feel it, somebody testify. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can't feel it, somebody testify. So if you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. If you need freedom or saving, he's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, oh, he's a chain breaker. So if you need freedom or saving, he's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, he's a chain breaker.
Yay, thank you, Emma.
Bravo.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone's loving it. Rock Your Colors loves it. She says you have an amazing voice.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, thank y'all for being supportive of Emma. Very good.
Yeah, because I've been practicing.
PW said bravo, Emma.
Oh.
So, well, all right. We are going to go ahead and hop into our study in the book of Revelation. Now, last week I told you that we're getting ready to get into everything that we talk about from here on out is controversial, debated. Now, not debated among scholars, but it's controversial and debated in the fact that what you hear a lot of times through TV preachers, through a lot of modern expressions of Christianity here in the States is vastly different than what scholars actually teach and believe about the book of Revelation. Give you a little background. You know, for those of you who may be new, this may be your first time watching this series. At the very beginning, we talked about different viewpoints of the book. We mentioned the futuristic view, the preterist view, and then more of a I guess it would be a figurative view, taking the imagery for what it is and not interpreting it so literalistically. Hey, Rock Your Colors, thank you for waving. I see you. And hey, John Paul, welcome. And so we talked about this futuristic view is really what you see in the mainstream. They teach that everything in the book of Revelation is future. It hasn't happened yet. They teach the church is going to kind of get raptured out, almost, kind of like how you would imagine an alien abduction is. All these people are going to disappear. Then there's going to be this literal 7-year tribulation where all the things in the book of Revelation take place. And there's going to be this literal Antichrist. And then there's going to be this huge war, Armageddon. That's the futuristic view. And it's a fun view. Like it's really cool. But as far as having any really basis in the biblical text, it's not there. And that's what I've been trying to teach throughout this whole series. The view was actually made up by a guy by the name of John Darby, and he came up with this view after he had a head injury and got kicked in the head by a horse. And so that should kind of tell you the really the weight of what this view holds. But a lot of people jumped on this view just because it was something different. And it's been propagated in the whole Left Behind series by Tim LaHaye, and some of you may be familiar with that. So it's kind of been the big thing. They've made movies about it. But as we're seeing that when you look at this book in its context and you interpret this imagery correctly, it teaches nothing of the sort. So we're going to get into some of these things that are hotly debated between the futurists and everybody else. We're going to be looking at tonight this imagery of the temple in the book of Revelation, which futurists use to say that, during the 7-year tribulation period, a new temple is going to be rebuilt. And that's how people are going to worship God, because all the Christians are going to be gone. And so God's going to kind of reinstitute all of the temple stuff. And we're going to talk about just what an affront that view is to what Christ actually did on the cross. And then we're going to get into, in the weeks to come, looking at the beast and the false prophet and talking about those things. What does this symbolism mean? Is it a literal person or is it not? So a lot of cool stuff coming up in the weeks to come. Next week, we're going to be looking at the 2 supernatural witnesses, right? I'm sure some of you out there with any context of this have always heard during the 7-year tribulation period, Moses and Elijah are coming back, or Elijah and Enoch. So we're going to look at that view and look in Revelation 11 and see what it actually teaches about what these 2 supernatural witnesses are. So don't miss the show on Thursday night over the next month, because we're going to be getting into all of that cool stuff. Tonight, we're going to set the stage for it. We're only going to be looking at just a couple verses tonight, because this kind of is going to get the ball rolling on what is coming later on down the road once we get into the 2 supernatural witnesses, the beast from the sea, and the false prophet. But this whole section here in chapter 11, this is taking place during the trumpet judgments. That's what we just got finished studying, was the trumpet judgments. So this isn't taking place after. Remember, we've talked about how Revelation, everything kind of recapitulates, it circles around and it goes back, and it's all covering the same time period. The time period that Revelation covers is from the resurrection of Christ all the way to the second coming of Christ. So it's not bound to the 7-year tribulation period. A lot of what's going on in the book was written to John's audience, the 7 churches. But we also talked about how it has a greater significance in meaning to the church, God's people as a whole. So if you haven't gone back and you're new to this study, go back to the first several videos we did on this, on Revelation, and I give a background and a context and explain a lot of these things. So let me see. Did I miss anybody? Oh, hey, Spectrums of Light. Welcome to the chat. I'm sorry I missed you when you first came in. Thank you for joining us and being here. Okay, so Revelation 11. This is where we're at tonight, and I'm reading out of the New American Standard Bible. And just to let you know, we're not covering as much ground as we have been in the past, just because of how debated this is. And the challenge when you teach something of the book of Revelation, especially with the audience that I have a vast audience. Like, people come in and they watch this show, and some of them have a good amount of knowledge about these things, and then some people have minuscule. So it's making sure that nobody kind of gets left behind. So I want to kind of take this part slower, because I don't want anybody to get lost. I want to make sure I give context and help people understand who may not be familiar, because this book is very intimidating. It's hard to interpret, and it can be very challenging and overwhelming. So we're going to take it a little bit slow here over the next couple weeks. Hey, John P. Adventures, welcome. Glad that you're hanging out with us. All right, Revelation 11. It says, "Then there was giving to me," this is John talking, "a measuring rod like a staff. And someone said, 'Get up and measure the temple of God and the altar and those who worship in it. Leave out the court which is outside the temple and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations, and they will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. That's all we're talking about tonight. Those two verses. The two supernatural witnesses come next, but to understand what's going on here with the witnesses and the imagery, we have to understand these first two verses first. So let's look at this temple imagery. The basic idea here is this decree that God is giving John here. He is establishing his presence among his people to help them in the midst of persecution. Because remember, this whole book centers around the persecution that was going on during Domitian's reign in 90 AD. And it takes on this overarching theme of when God's people go through persecution, how do they respond? And it also carries this theme of justice, that though it looks like evil is rampant, and it looks like people are getting away with wickedness, and it looks like evil is going unchecked, we see things from a heavenly perspective to see that it's all under God's control, that he is pouring out his justice, and that there will be final justice. Hey, RPI Paranormal, thank you for coming and hanging out with us in the chat. We're just getting into the first few verses of Revelation 11. There's a couple different interpretations, right? I already mentioned one of them was seeing this as a literal temple that is going to be rebuilt in the future. Another, here's testing some of y'all who's been around for the whole series. I'm going to mention the word preterist. Y'all should remember that word. A preterist viewpoint is somebody who believes that the book of Revelation was written in Nero's reign, 66 to 68, before the destruction of the temple, and the whole book was fulfilled in the destruction of the temple. So those who hold to an early date see this passage as talking about the literal temple that was standing in 68 AD before its destruction in 70 AD. They see this as Herod's temple. Just to give you a context, right? The first temple was Solomon's temple. That temple was destroyed. And then after the destruction of the temple, the exile of the Jews with Babylon and Assyria, God brings Nehemiah, Ezra. They start gathering things, starting to rebuild, and then Herod does a lot of things with the temple. So They see this as talking about Herod's temple before it was destroyed. However, what we're going to see first and foremost is that this imagery of the temple and the Greek wording in here, this goes back to Ezekiel's vision, not mine. Ezekiel the prophet, in his book in the Old Testament, he has this great vision of this temple in chapters 40 through 48. And some of the wording here and the imagery where John is called to measure the temple, this is pulled straight from Ezekiel. Ezekiel was called to do the same thing, to take a measuring rod. We're going to talk about what that means. So the imagery here is not of Herod's temple. So there's no way that this could be talking about that. So the whole 70 AD thing kind of collapses based just on the imagery alone. And because it's based on Ezekiel's temple, and Ezekiel's temple vision was meant to push forward to this new covenant era, it was all meant to be a symbolism of Christ. And what is happening here with John is he is taking the same vision of Ezekiel and he is applying it to the church. So this temple imagery here is a representation of God's people. Elsewhere in the New Testament, Christians are referred to as God's temple. And so the imagery here, John starts off. So he's talking about the people of God here. And this measuring here in the sanctuary, this gives the idea of protection and establishing in righteousness, just like with Ezekiel's vision. So all of this is a metaphor. It's not meant to be taken literally, because Ezekiel's vision was a metaphor. And we're going to get into looking at this idea. The book of Daniel plays into this. We're going to look at the 42 months here and how that plays into the book of Daniel. But everything here in this passage, John is going back and he's taking Old Testament imagery, the last days that were talked about in Daniel. This is the explanation of it. And the last days, according to the New Testament, were from the resurrection of Christ to his second coming. It's not this little slot of time that is just for the very end. We are in the last days now. We've been in the last days since the resurrection of Christ. Hey, Clarissa, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us. So this measuring here that's taking place, notice it can't be literal, because there's actually no measurements given. So this again tells us that something symbolic is going on. And like I said, the idea of measurement is meant to show God's establishment and righteousness and protection. Now, John is drawing that from Ezekiel's vision of the temple. And he says to leave out the court, which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations, and they will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. If you aren't familiar with how the temple was set up, there was the outer court of the God-fearing Gentiles. Basically, you had the outer court and the inner court. The inner court was for the priest. You had this outer court that was you had a place for the Gentile worshipers who weren't fully Jews. And then you had an even more closer part for Israel. Now, this whole temple imagery has been taken by the New Testament writers and used to apply to Christians. Like the Holy Spirit comes and dwells in us. We are God's temple, and Jews and Gentiles are together now. There's no separating, no dividing wall. Everything is equal in Christ. And so the imagery here, when John talks about when he's commanded not to measure this outer court, there's a reason for that. And it's not a negative thing. Like some scholars try to think, well, there's something negative going on here. But when you look at the way the temple was set up, it wasn't the outer courts weren't a bad thing. It was a welcoming thing for those who weren't Jews. And so there's no negative imagery here. The idea here, the reason he is not called to measure it, and the reason it is given to be trampled, this imagery represents, okay, think about it, God's temple. It is where his presence dwells. And now his presence dwells in his people. So think of this here. This imagery is talking about God's people. And he is establishing them and saying, my presence is in you. I've decreed it. You are my people. My presence is here with you. However, there is this portion of you that is going to be trampled down. Again, John is hitting at the aspect of persecution. So this not measuring it, God is saying there's going to be a piece and a part that I'm not going to protect you. You're going to have to go through persecution. You're going to have to go through suffering. That's why this portion of the temple is given over to be trampled on. God is saying this whole imagery is, yes, you are my people. I have established you. You're going to stand firm and you're going to stand strong, but you will go through persecution in this life. You will suffer at times. And that is the imagery here. And it's setting us up for what's going to happen with the two supernatural witnesses, and then for what's going to happen with the mark of the beast, and for what's going to happen with the beast coming out of the sea and the false prophet. All of it is setting the stage to show that God's people are going to go through hardship and persecution, but God is with them. He has established them, that they're not going to fail. They're not going to falter. Their faith is going to endure. They are going to overcome. That is how this whole section is starting off, with God's promise of his presence with his people, even in the midst of the persecution that is going to happen. Now, let's close here with this idea of the 42 months. Daniel gives it, it's like 1,260 days or something like that is Daniel's rendition of it. It basically comes out to 3.5 years. Now, people have gotten a hold of this, and this is where they get the whole 7-year tribulation from. They take it from Daniel, and then they'll take a couple of places here in Revelation where it's just 3.5, and they make this 7-year, they put it together and make a 7-year tribulation period, and they interpret it as a literal 7 years. But if you've been listening, and what I've talked about, everything in the book of Revelation is not meant to be taken literally, especially numbers. They're all symbolic. So the symbolism here with the 42 months, this is referring to Daniel's time period of the last days, the last things. So he is saying here, this 42 months is a time of suffering. It represents this age. And there is another mention of another 42 months later on in the book, and scholars do take that as a different time period. So when you do add the 3.5 and the 3.5, you do get 7, but it's not meant to be taken literally. 7 is a number of completion. And so the idea is that the church is going to go through persecution. And yes, there is a time towards the end, before the second coming of Christ, when that persecution is going to get hot and heavy. That's that later 3, represented by that 3.5 years. So with the 3.5 years of suffering, 3.5 years of intense persecution added together, that is a number of completion. When God's people have gone through their complete testing here on this earth, then the end will come. That's one imagery that John is hitting at here, that the time of persecution, it does have a beginning, it does have an end, and it will be complete. That's the idea of the number 7 coming together here. But also, not only is this giving the idea of Daniel's end time thing and bringing it into light and showing that we are in the last days that Daniel talked about, and we've been in those last days since the resurrection of Christ. The death and resurrection of Christ is the key to unlocking everything that Daniel prophesied about, and that's what John is doing. That's why this is called the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's why you see this word mystery being revealed. It's kind of the same terminology in Daniel. It's showing what Daniel was not allowed to see is now unlocked through the death and resurrection of Christ. That mystery is being revealed. The other thing scholars point out is 3.5 years. Guess how long Jesus's ministry was? 3.5 years. It's another significant thing about this number. And as John is applying it to the church, to their mission, right, that they are here to bear witness to Christ. So this number has significance in its symbolism. It is not meant to be taken literally at all. So what we have here, let's recap just in these first 2 verses. We have this temple imagery that is symbolic to show that through the death and resurrection of Christ, the people of God is now his dwelling place, his temple. Jesus was the main temple, right? He talks about destroy this temple and I will bring it back to life in 3 days. And all of these other passages in the New Testament. And even you see the temple imagery applied to Jesus in the book of Revelation. And we're going to get into some of that later on down the road. So Jesus is the main temple. He is what it all points to. And by extension, those who are united with him, they become the temple of God. They become the dwelling place of the Holy Spirit. And God is saying, I have measured, I have marked out my people beforehand. My presence is with them. I'm going to help them stand firm, stand fast in the midst of persecution. Now, there's this part that I did not measure that I'm not going to protect because they will have to go through persecution and suffering, just like Jesus did. I mean, he was perfect, but people still hated him. The religious people killed him and crucified him. And so if Jesus went through persecution and suffering, then God is saying that, yes, my people will go through it. But just because you go through it does not mean that you aren't established, that you're not going to overcome. You will overcome. My presence is with you to overcome. So that is the main thing to walk away with in this passage, is that if Christ is in you, if the Holy Spirit is in you, if God's presence is with you and his power is with you, there is nothing you cannot face and overcome in this life. That he will help you. He will strengthen you. He will empower you. He will help you face your giants. He will help you overcome the obstacles. Yes, you may get knocked down. Yes, you may fail. Yes, you may falter. Yes, you will sin. Yes, you will screw up. Yes, you will make a mess of things at times. But God is with you, and that does not have the last word. God has the last word, and he will help you overcome no matter what you are dealing with and what you are going through in this life. So that imagery is meant to be in encouragement. So if there's anybody out there, if you're struggling, whatever's going on, God wants to help you. He wants to empower you. He wants to strengthen you. And he wants to do that through Christ. That is the message here, that God will help you. He will be with you no matter what you are going through in this life. That's the first 2 verses, sets the stage and what we're going to get into in the following weeks. So that's all I got tonight on that. Just something real quick. I tried to make it as simple as possible. I hope I did. I hope I didn't lose anybody. There was a lot in there that I didn't bring out because there's a lot getting into how the temple was laid out and why this temple is not Solomon's temple and why it's not Herod's temple. But I didn't get into all that because it can get really technical in it. So I just wanted to give you the highlights of it and break it down that way. So be blessed. Dustin, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. Great show.
You can take me off full screen now if you want to. And come up here with me.
We lost Bethany.
Yeah, I don't know where she went.
And would you like to, for anyone that hasn't been here in a while, like Clarissa, would you like to give a reminder of what's coming up in the next following months?
Yep. What we have going on, I already mentioned, we've got coming up here on Thursday nights with Immortal Shadows. We're getting into some of the hot topic stuff of the book of Revelation. We're going to get into the 2 supernatural witnesses. We're getting into the mark of the beast. We're getting into the Antichrist and the false prophet. I can guarantee you what I'm going to talk about is going to be something that you haven't heard because it doesn't make it out into the airways. It kind of stays among scholars, which is unfortunate. So it will be something new and different. Also, on Southern Discomfort in March, we're doing Women of Horror. Southern Discomfort's on Tuesday night. I'm going to have some guests on here, all women, talking about horror. Lisa Vasquez, a lot of you were around when she was here. She's going to be back with us. Also, a couple new faces for you. I know all these people personally. I can vouch for them and their talent and their character. They're great people. And then, Dustin, what I'm going to try to do, we missed our 1-year celebration of Southern Discomfort this past week.
Yep. It's been a whole year.
So I'm going to try to do something next Tuesday night. I think I have found the place where that abandoned, torn down mental hospital was here.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to try to get out there and do something. Again, it's patrolled. I don't know.
Don't get in trouble.
we're going to have to play it by ear and see. But I also plan on doing some giveaways that night. Give away certain books, Southern Discomfort issues, and kind of stuff. So we'll have a party.
I'm gonna put my head inside of Bethany's here and ask a question now, because I think this is something that she would ask too. Okay. So a year ago, when Dustin, PPR, and yobaby and them asked you to be a part of it, did you ever imagine it going this far and reaching the people that you have reached and inspired as much as you have?
No, I did not. It was unexpected and such a great blessing and something I had been praying for, and God used you to answer that prayer. So,
yep, and you've come a long ways, doing real good. Proud of you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it had been a while since I did anything like that, so I was definitely out of practice at first. But got my bearings back and just been full speed ahead.
Here you go, Zeke. Free reign. Like, really?
And I've done well. I haven't gotten you a strike, and it's been a year.
Yep.
That's impressive.
It is.
We should just celebrate that. That's celebrating right there.
That's something for you to rub in on Bethany. See, I never got him a strike. It's been a year, no strikes.
Yeah,
Because he was
because
saying, "You're going to get a strike. You're going to get."
at first she was like, "Oh my God, Zeke, please don't do this, don't do that, don't." I'm like, I'm not. I'm gonna reel it in. Hold back. Not gonna get Dustin in trouble. Oh, thank you, PW. So yeah, it's been a great year, and we'll hit all that next week for Southern Discomfort in it as well. And another thing we're going to be doing that I'm going to do on Southern Discomfort is I'll be promoting Johnny Walker Ranger Demon Slayer. The first one came out 4 years ago on Valentine's Day. So I'll be doing some giveaways and promos for Johnny Walker Ranger that I'd planned on doing this week, but just work stuff and everything. I wasn't able to get the show rolling Tuesday night. But I will be here, rain or shine, this coming Tuesday, Lord willing.
Awesome. And weather permitting, in 2 weeks, I want to go down to Graffiti Highway. And when I get the drone, if I can get it mastered enough, I want to use that for the first time down there and get some good aerial footage of Graffiti Highway.
Oh, that's going to be cool, man.
Yeah, it's down there in Franklin. So I'll probably afterwards swing by and say hi to Bear and all them.
Okay, tell him I said hey. I miss him.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, you can have, on the new Blair Witch that they did several years ago, the Blair Witch found footage that they did several years ago, not the original, but the new one. I think it came out in like 2018.
Mm-hmm.
They got a drone scene in that one. They use a drone.
Oh, wow.
That's what it makes me think of.
Nice. Yeah, I like this one because you can set it and you don't have to touch the controller and it'll automatically follow you wherever you go.
Yeah.
And it would just give such a cool perspective, and you can have it PIP, VIV, video and video. So you see like us along with the aerial view of us.
Yeah. Can you like set that drone up to drop bombs? Like you drop stink bombs, those little stink bomb capsules like bust on the concrete.
Wait for Bethany to step out and
yeah, just drop stink bombs everywhere. That would be fun.
Oh, I'm sure you probably could. And then our beautiful sis Tanya, yobaby Blondie, has been asked to do a panel with Christina, Ghost and Son, or Son and Ghost. Blah blah, mind boggling now. So that'll be coming up soon, and I think that's great because they're going to do a tarot reading and what's that other word? I forget, but do a readings for people.
Well, we'll have to push that and let people know when it is, so everybody can go watch.
Exactly. And then tonight, no promises, but tonight, Tanya and I later tonight, she wants to try and come on and do a late Valentine's tarot card reading for people.
Okay.
So I don't know if that'll pan out.
She could have just come on, and I could have just handed the ball off and say, "Take it away, Tanya. I'm going to bed."
Oh, she gotta wait for Doc to go to bed.
Okay. Yeah, that may be a little late for me, man. I'm having to get up at an ungodly hour every morning right now. So
yeah. If not, then we'll probably do it tomorrow if she has time. She's getting ready for her cruise. Her and Doc are taking a cruise to the Caribbean or something like that next week.
Oh, pirates.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what videos that she puts up for us.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I can't wait. She'll have to tell us all about it, and maybe she'll meet Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. And big thank you to the 27 people that did view tonight. And thank you to the 10 to 11 that were steady viewing. And to the 8 that are still here.
Yep. So before we wrap up, just want to remind everybody again, the giveaway I have going on right now. For my story, Phantom War on Godless, you can get it for 50 cents. And this is longer than the regular short stories that I usually put on Godless. This one is close to 15,000 words, so it's like a little novelette. It's only 50 cents. And so if you get Phantom War and you screenshot your purchase from Godless and email it to me, my email is my name right up there on the screen, EzekielKincaid@gmail.com. So if you do that, I will send you ebook copies of my entire Dreadful Death series, The Dawning, The Gathering, and The Morning. And doing that because I really want to push this Phantom War story. It is a total package story. It's got horror, it's got creatures, it's got emotional depth, it's got love, it's got psychic phenomenon, paranormal stuff, all in it. And I also have another book coming out in March that takes place in this universe that has to deal with the Tetramet, who is the main entity in here. So if you haven't read this series, this is a chance that you can get it for free right now by just buying a 50-cent copy of Phantom War off of Godless right now and emailing, and I'll send you the ebook copies of all of these. Now, as we get closer to the release of my new book that's coming out, the Tetramet tapes, I'll be having a lot more giveaways and stuff going on too. It'll be something different. And then I'm going to be doing some Johnny Walker Ranger giveaway stuff next week. But this is a chance to get this and read this series. This to date is the most terrifying thing that I have out. So if you like your horror scary, it's like a mix of Hereditary, The Exorcist, meets Pan's Labyrinth, because it's got a little bit of some creatures in it as well. So that series has given folks nightmares. Some people haven't been able to finish it. So I highly recommend it. This is a chance to get it for pretty much free, not just buying Phantom War. So those links are in the chat at the top. No way he's that big now.
Oh, yeah. He's look at his big old belly.
Daddy been giving you weight gainer, huh?
Yes.
He been giving you ice cream before bed, right?
For Valentine's, since I don't have a Valentine, I went ahead and made them my Valentines and got them some whipped cream and put it on their dog food for them, and boy, they loved it. So they got their own homemade pup cup last night.
Yeah, I made my dog chicken. Gave him some chicken. Old bandit.
Great show, and thank you everybody for all your support.
Now, are you going live tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same time, which would be 1 o'clock my time, 12 o'clock your guys' time.
Okay. I'll probably be able to do what I did last week. Pop in there and say hello.
Yeah. And that's if we don't get our storm. We're supposed to be getting a lot of rain and snow and slush and everything, but
and there's a possible that y'all may be on later tonight too, correct?
Possible, yeah. I just have to wait and and hear from Sissy on that one.
So if y'all are still around later, keep your eye out.
Because she really wants to do a reading, some tarot session with everybody.
Very cool.
And thank you for everyone that has went over there to support her, because she's up to 312 or something like that followers now, and her watch time is going up, and people are interacting over there. So
very, very good. Yay, Tanya. That's awesome.
But with all that said, I'm through.
All right. Well, that's all we got for tonight. Again, thank you everybody for the support. Thank y'all for watching and hanging out and chat with us. Keep an eye out and see what's coming later tonight with Tanya and maybe Dustin tomorrow. But you'll see me again next Tuesday. We'll do the Southern Discomfort 1 year celebration. And I'm going to go ahead and cue up the video, Dustin.
Cool.
Right here. So y'all stick around and check out this inspirational video that we play at the end of every show that Dustin made for us. So thank y'all. We love you.
Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I pray